you're recording. Every time. And that's the intro of our episode.
It's the music thing that happens. I remember what it sounds like.
Welcome back to Can You Not? We are here again in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. We actually got a comment on our last episode. I don't remember exactly where it was, but Amber said something, and someone put amen.
What did I say?
I think you were talking about, it was during your topic.
I don't even remember what my topic was.
I don't remember either. But you know what? Amen.
Holla.
But hey, yeah, it's a comment. So if you have
Somebody
a comment,
agrees with me. Yay.
if you have a comment, you too can leave a comment on our SoundCloud. And if you have a suggestion, you can go to pogiejoe.com/canyouNot and give us a suggestion for a topic. We'll talk about it.
Or if you just want to say, hey, all of our Twitters are probably listed in the thing down below, probably.
Yeah, in the show notes on SoundCloud. Although I should put them on the website too. Maybe I'll do that.
Woo!
Yeah. Anyway, we are here, and we thought we'd do something a little bit different, because, we always like to mix it up every now and then. And we thought we'd do kind of a state of the American elections. I know that's probably the least of what people want to hear about, because we hear so much about it, but, we thought we'd talk about it, because we all have a variety of opinions on what is going on with this country. We are in a very bizarre spot.
There are a lot of weird things happening.
So, and maybe this will serve as kind of a time capsule, so that when we look back, we go either, oh man, those were good times when we were just confused, or we go, oh, those are terrible times. We actually thought Donald Trump was going to win.
It's the beginning of the end.
So, anyway, who would like to start the conversation tonight?
I have a thing.
Okay,
so a thing that I've been trying to figure out very loudly on Facebook, to the chagrin of lots of people who know a lot more about these things than I do, is I don't understand why we even have delegates. Like, why do we have delegates? Like, and why isn't it consistent how the delegates do things? Like, on the Republican side, it was like, Kasich won Ohio, so, like, all the delegates in the Republican Party went to Kasich, and then, like, Bernie Sanders and Hillary were still, like, duking it out, but Hillary got, like, most of the delegates. They're saying Hillary won even though we didn't have all the popular vote in yet, and I don't why do we even have the delegates?
And, some states, it is divided proportionally, so you can still get, 40% while the other gets 60%. In some states, it's all or nothing. And then some states have primaries, and some states have caucuses, where someone has to stand there and literally raise their hand after hearing an argument about their opponents. And you're right,
Jesse.
What?
Why?
I don't have an answer to this. I just know what superdelegates are.
What are superdelegates?
They're elected officials. I'm actually looking up the definition right now. I remember they're elected officials representing each party.
Well, originally the worry with superdelegates and how they were formed was that the South wasn't getting a big enough vote. So they invented superdelegates so that the South would have a bigger voice.
Oh, wait, you mean people weren't turning out?
Just in terms of the South felt like they weren't being accurately represented in elections.
What does that mean?
So they kind of created this thing so they would have a larger voice, so they could throw these huge superdelegates, and each superdelegate is only worth a 25% of an actual delegate. So, but there's still only individual people determining them, so individual people get these huge, choices on who gets the nomination. It is absolutely ludicrous. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so just go ahead, Jesse.
So, Democratic Party delegates are distinguished party leaders, elected officials, and lobbyists. And this is including all Democratic members of House and Senate sitting Democratic governors. Other superdelegates are chosen during the primary season. And then for the Republican Party, it's pretty much the same. The difference is the Democratic superdelegates can pledge. They don't have to automatically go to the winner of each state.
Yeah.
But for the Republican Party, for the GOP, whoever wins the state, they get all the superdelegates.
Which is that's so weird to me. Why isn't this consistent? That's actually a really big deal. That's super important, I feel.
And you can even change superdelegates too, which is partially how...
And superdelegates, they don't vote in the primaries, do they? That's for later.
No,
No?
they have all the time they want. They can release it whenever they want.
Where
So-
where do their votes count though? Do they count for the primaries?
Yeah.
Oh
It
my
counts
god.
as-
Okay, so just for the old people out there who like are like young people don't vote. Do you want to know why? Because this nonsense is confusing. I'm not saying you shouldn't vote. I totally think everybody should vote. I think voting is really important. But like, why is this is so confusing? Like, and just beyond the delegates, I don't know. I just don't understand.
It's kind of like the Electoral College. I think that's garbage.
Oh,
like, for
I don't
instance,
even know.
when George W. Bush won against, was it Gore?
It's when he lost against Gore.
And
But-
then he was
but
president anyway.
But he was president because he
Of
won
the
the Electoral
Electoral
College. He only got 40.
What is the Electoral College?
Gosh, it's
I
just,
don't.
it's literally, I can't believe this, but to me,
I
it's-
remember reading about it and I forgot it all. I remember because there was a moment in time where I knew exactly what that meant, and now I don't.
It's just
And-
like the biggest like.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, I'll
So
say that in a second.
it's a noun in the United States. It's a body of people representing the states of the U.S. who formally cast votes for the election of the president and vice president. A body of electors chosen or appointed by a larger group.
So does that like
A larger
mean
group
that they're
being
like
not
the
us?
delegates of the main election?
See, that definition in itself was problematic because it doesn't state where are they coming from.
Yeah. And okay, just really fast. One of the biggest criticisms of democracy as a whole, just when people are talking about forms of government, is that when you let every single person vote, you're also letting the stupid people who have no idea what's going on vote. And like, if you let stupid people choose leaders, they're gonna choose stupid people. Like that is the argument against democracy, and this is also complicated because
How do you
obviously.
determine who a stupid person is?
Well, I'm not saying that's correct. I'm just
Right.
saying that's one of the biggest arguments against it. But when things are so complicated that like a normal person who just wants to go and vote can't understand how the process works. I mean, granted, this is not my forte at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so convoluted. Like none of it is easy to understand.
Well, listen, even the Wikipedia page acknowledges this. It says, the United States Electoral College is the institution that elects the president and vice president of the United States every 4 years. Citizens of the United States do not directly elect the president or the vice president. Instead, these votes directly elect designated intermediaries called electors, who almost always have pledged to vote for particular presidential and vice presidential candidates, and who are they themselves selected according to the particular laws of each state.
So then our vote doesn't count in that context.
What?
Like
So-
it's almost like a online poll.
I feel
That's
like
what
I've
it
been
feels like.
lied to. I thought I was voting for president.
Well, they make it sound so. Essentially, what we're doing is doing an online poll so that the Electoral College
Can
can
decide.
actually vote for us.
But so the thing is, let's say Clinton wins the nomination, right?
Yeah.
And Clinton trumps Trump. The greatest thing about that is they're going to look at the number of votes, for instance, the popular vote, right? And they're going to say, okay, Hillary won 55% of the popular vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to make an ethical decision. Should we jump ship and go with Hillary, or should we split the votes and then call a draw? Because that's literally what they kind of were trying to do with George W. Bush.
Well, does this mean that Trump can be stopped by the Electoral College in
He
this
could.
case?
He could.
I've also heard like something that I've heard. I haven't verified any of this. We came up with this topic literally 2 minutes before we started going.
Yeah.
I am not prepared.
Don't take any of our advice as complete and actual.
Please
100%.
fact check us.
Control.
Yes. So something else that I heard is that the political parties are private. They're not run by the government. Which, I mean, I guess if they do that, then what the delegates do is their own business because their party can decide. I don't. What is going on?
So literally, our votes do not designate who is president. It just gives these electoral college members the idea of who the American people are.
But
voting
why do
with.
we bother? Why are those people even there? How about they just, instead of like, that's like a younger sibling, like just following you around and doing all the things you do. It's like, I could do this without you. Like,
But they can filibuster our vote. They can filibuster our vote.
And who are these nameless, faceless Electoral College people that we don't know the names of?
how do they even get there?
Yeah, they don't even say. They just said it's. They don't even give a description as to. Let's see. It literally says These voters directly elect... they themselves are selected according to the particular laws of each state. So it's completely varied by each state on how they get chosen. That makes no sense. Why isn't there a consistent way of even finding these people? Or why don't we get to vote on these people?
Okay. Usually political parties nominate electors at their state conventions. Sometimes that process occurs by a vote of the party's central committee. The electors are usually state elected officials, party leaders, or people with strong affiliation with the presidential candidates. So in a sense, it's almost like the superdelegates for the Democratic Party.
And then just swinging back to the Electoral College, I'm on Wikipedia. If a majority of electors do not vote for president, the House of Representatives chooses the president. If a majority of electors do not vote for vice president, the Senate votes.
And the Senate is so red right now. They are so red.
It's just, why do we need all this? Why is all this here? Why don't
You know what it is? They're like babysitting us.
Yeah.
You know what's
like, you don't really know what's good for you. We'll take care of it.
Then how did the things that happened in the Republican Party happen? If they're here to make sure that doesn't happen, how did that happen?
Okay, so here's Murray Godfrey, a history professor, answering on Quora, why does the Electoral College exist? It was a compromise made towards the end of the Constitutional Convention in a committee when the attendees were getting anxious to leave. The major sticking point was concern about too much democracy. The founders feared the quote-unquote rabble, and
That's what I was saying, yes.
And what they worried about the most was that, given technology at the time, there was no way for people from South Carolina to know anything about a candidate from Delaware or vice versa. They were concerned presidential elections would become free-for-alls among a dozen candidates representing different parts of the country, and they would not be focused on the national interest but on pleasing their constituents from their region. So the founders wanted some kind of indirect election method for the president, providing an extra layer of vetting from the right kind of person, but one that still featured some acknowledgement of the will of the populace. They argued about how exactly that would work, that on and off most of the convention, and the Committee of 11 wrapped it up towards the end with the system as we know it. So this could already be remedied because we have technology now to read about other people. We're not just secluded to these little tiny parts of the country, and that's our entire bubble of knowledge.
I feel like we just need to update things. It's like the whole process of the government happening is like this building that we've been like building for like since the United States became a thing, and the bottom is from like the 1700s or whatever, and the top is like has a laptop sitting on.
And we're not willing to replace any of the bricks from the 1700s.
You know what the crazy thing is? Libertarians are going to be like, you can't touch that.
Yeah.
It has to stay the way it is.
But didn't they design government to be flexible so that you don't get things like monarchies and stuff like that? Wasn't that the point?
I mean, I feel like, honestly, at that point in time when there isn't communication between everybody, that does make sense. Like, for the time period, like, that kind of thing totally... But it's just that it hasn't been updated.
It doesn't make sense in the 20th century onward.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things don't make that kind of sense. I also, just learning more about the Electoral College right now.
It works too well for the people in charge is the thing. So, of course, they're not going to change it.
Okay, so each state... You might have read this already. Each state is allocated, a number of electoral college electors equal to the number of its senators and representatives in the U.S. Congress. So that's how the number is, like, that's how the amount of people is chosen. U.S. territories are not represented.
But how are the direct people chosen?
The what?
How are the actual people chosen?
They're just elected by committees.
Under the U.S. Constitution, each state legislature is allowed to designate a way of choosing electors. Thus, the popular vote on election day is conducted by the various states and not directly by, in other words, blah, 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 blah.
For all we know, I could be part of the Electoral College. You don't know. It seems like a secret.
So basically, once chosen, the electors can vote for anyone, but with rare exceptions like an unpledged elector or faithless elector, they vote for their designated candidates, and their votes are certified by Congress, who is the final judge of electors in early January. Okay, it just seems so worthless. I wonder, are these people paid by the government? I wonder how much money we would save if we got rid of them.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I am at awe now because you gave us that historical framework of why it was established. Why?
That's ludicrous. The
Why
fact that
do
they
we
wanted-
keep it?
Yeah, and I'm reading more about it, and it says that it was the result of a compromise between those constitutional framers who wanted the Congress to choose the president and those who preferred a national popular vote. But it really doesn't do anything right now. Like, it doesn't help in any way.
Except for the elite who want to choose everything for us.
But that doesn't even seem like something you can really manipulate, because it seems like they pretty much always do what their little group of people like votes for.
Right. I have another topic about the election.
Okay.
So, did anybody hear about Rocky De La Fuente?
Yes.
Who is this person? I saw them on the ballot when I went to vote.
Didn't he get 0% of the vote?
He got 0%.
Who is he?
Although I think it was Puerto Rico, one of the islands, he got like 5%.
Who is he?
So I looked him up. He's from California. He is Hispanic. And he is a businessman. And he owns a lot of real estate.
He looks like The Walking Dead.
I know his Wikipedia
He's
picture
really
is
scary
like
looking.
blue.
Yeah.
So I looked this up. This dude is
Why is
kind
your
of
skin
like
so pink?
this dude is kind of like a much more sane conservative Democrat Donald Trump.
What
So,
does
like,
that mean?
This guy is a big businessman. He he owns lots of hotels and car dealerships. That's like his main thing. And he just decided he would go into politics for this. So his whole thing was he was going to try to capture like the Latin vote, which obviously didn't work so well because almost nobody's heard of him. But he's gotten enough people to sign his petitions to go on the ballot in like 9 different states across the country.
Holy crap.
That is
So like
so
he's not
funny.
gonna get anywhere with this, but at the same time, it's kind of, I guess, kind of cool that he was able to do this.
I
I
wonder-
was so confused.
Every single person walked in to vote for the primaries, looked at their ballot, and was like, "Who is this?"
His first first video that he has on his announcing his presidential candidacy is him in a 3-piece suit jumping off a diving board into a swimming pool.
Why didn't I vote for him?
What a boss.
That's so funny.
So, yeah, what do you think about this dude, De La Fuente?
I mean, he's taking advantage of this anti-politics movement.
Right.
Like,
I mean, I think it's cool that he even made it on the ballot. I had no idea who he was, and like being able to like have no press and still make it onto the ballot seems pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, he sounded like he didn't like Hillary at all, did not like Trump, but sounded like he respected Bernie and respected, I think, Cruz or something like that. Like,
whoa, that's a weird two to
yeah.
talk about different worlds and different universes, worlds apart.
That is.
Yeah. Now here's his claim, because I watched an interview with him. He said that in Iowa, I believe it was, he said that 80,000 votes for him were not counted and were destroyed by the Democrats, and that's why he's not in third place or not in second place. He says the reason he's not beating Bernie Sanders is because they somehow destroyed most of the votes for him, and it's like maybe I don't think so because no one's ever heard of you.
How did everyone feel? Not to switch the topic, but I find it appropriate to bring this up of unlikely candidates. How does everyone feel about Kasich winning Ohio?
I know everyone's celebrating it, but I feel like that's because it was his home state. I don't know if he has the legs, but
He won Michigan too.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he won Michigan.
I don't.
He
think
stole
so.
Michigan. Fact check
All
me.
have our phones out and we're all
Fact
looking
check me.
everything up.
I'm pretty sure Trump won Michigan, because people were shocked because of the high Muslim population.
Michigan? No, Trump won.
No.
Yeah.
What did Kasich?
Kasich came in third.
He only won Ohio.
No, Kasich came in.
Third.
Kasich. Oh yeah. Sorry.
What did Kasich win? Kasich has won another state, I swear.
I think he only won Ohio, but he came in second in a bunch of places. Is the deal? Like he came in second with I think Iowa, or no, it wasn't Iowa. No. Rubio came in second in Iowa. I don't know.
Didn't Rubio drop out?
He's out.
Yeah,
Rubio's
Marco
out.
Rubio dropped out.
So
I think it was because he lost Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I love Ben Carson's reaction to backing up Donald Trump. It has literally been him saying, he said, first of all,
I didn't want to do it.
yeah, he's like, I didn't want to do it, but he's the best candidate, so I did. And then someone else asked him later, and he's like, well, if he won, it'd only be 4 years. It's like, I think a lot can go wrong in 4 years.
Dude, Ben Carson gave up. He just wants to go home.
Someone led him away with a little like hanging mobile, and he just kind of sleepily chased after it.
You can go back to the house.
I imagine somebody like let go of a balloon string. He just floated away, like to get fresh clothes.
They look at the little birdie, and he just kind of sleptwalked over.
There's no way he can possess such anti-logic. Like, it's impossible to me. For being a neurosurgeon, how can you not have logic?
Yeah, because apparently he's a very adept neurosurgeon. Like, he's actually very proficient at his job.
But how is...
He should probably stick to his job.
Where's...
Well, the fact that, like, I feel kind of... I never thought I'd say this. I feel kind of bad for Chris Christie because he has gone full, like, hook, line, and sinker for Trump, and Trump does nothing but make fun of him and just, like, crap on him all the time.
I feel like the party convinces them to do that. Like, when you drop out, like, the party says,
yeah, you just kind of have to go along with it.
With whoever's, yeah.
The fact that it's been turned into a meme about him in the back, like, giving out what the hell have I done look off into the distance is just hilarious, I think. Because...
Have you guys seen the GIF, and it's the Trump and Bernie thing, and, like, Trump is standing there, and then, like, somebody it's when somebody goes up on the stage after Trump, and somebody, like, puts Bernie in there when he's sitting, and Bernie, like, jumps towards Trump, and Trump
because someone tried to jump on Trump at the rally or something like that.
The GIF is hilarious. Bernie Sanders GIFs are my favorite thing, like, ever.
Yeah, Jesse's convinced me he may still have a shot. I don't know. I was like...
I'm not gonna say he's gonna win.
Yeah.
But... he's going to win California. He's going to win Oregon. He's going to win Washington State. No, he is. Because he won in such a margin against Hillary in Colorado. Colorado is like the Ohio of the West Coast.
But he didn't win Ohio.
I'm not saying he had to win Ohio. I'm just saying the comparison between the two states.
And, like, not even half of the states have voted yet.
Yeah.
I don't think. And, like, when you look at things, I feel like it's really important to take a step back and recognize, like, actually where we are in the process. And, like, there's still a lot of states to go.
True.
Like, there is, and Hillary is winning right now, but it's not such a significant margin that he couldn't bounce back with other states.
But he'd have to do really well in all the states that follow. He doesn't have any room for error anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's where the doubt is, you know?
Yeah, it just sucks. I just don't. Trump's gonna get that.
And the media, if you look at I think it was the New York Times, had put out 20 negative articles about Bernie in that span of 24 hours. People looked at it, like, they showed, like, snapshots of him. Like, it's this establishment media that is... And, like, I can see people, like, maybe exaggerating a little bit about how much they're... But if you really look at it, it is, like... really, 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 really slanted towards Hillary. And that's probably why, people aren't voting as much for Bernie. And second of all, it's because he just simply doesn't have the name recognition of one of the most famous women in the country, you know?
Not to, like, put an added focus on Kasich, but I was just peering through an article by CNBC, and it's talking about how Wall Street prefers Kasich. What I find interesting about this is Wall Street has lobbying power, and I wonder if they're going to lobby superdelegates.
It might be interesting because everyone said, well, Cruz is like the big establishment candidate. But the thing is, a lot of the people that are inside Washington Circle don't really like Cruz. They don't like him.
And this could be Kasich's shot.
And what I love, I saw an advertisement on YouTube that was for Cruz. And the way he spun it was so hilarious. He was trying to sound like an outsider, like Trump and Bernie. He was like, everyone says they're against us. Everyone, the media's against us. The liberals are against us. Fox News is against us. And even Washington's against Cruz. And it's like, he was spinning it in such a way that made him sound like, well, we're the outsiders and we have the revolution and we're going to win. Like, no, that's not what this is heading.
Why does everybody want to be a victim so bad? Like, I feel like that's a thing. Like,
in politics?
Just in general. Like, I feel like that happens a lot. Like, a lot of people try and approach things like that.
You brought up such a brilliant point because I was thinking about this the other day. You know how Trump is making fun of, like, those that claim to be oppressed?
Yeah.
And claim to, like, be triggered and stuff like that? Aren't Trump rallies safe spaces for racists? And don't they feel unsafe?
The very fact that he said it's so politically correct that we won't hassle protesters and do terrible things to them. How is that not just common, like, decency?
If they were Tea Partiers, it would be their right. But the liberal people aren't Tea Partiers, so obviously we need to punch them. Also, just really fast, I don't know if anybody noticed, I think it was in Illinois, I might be wrong, Trump supporters had a rally, and they just kind of decided they were going to park their cars in a graveyard, and they ran over stones and, like, defaced and broke so many of these gravestones just because they wanted to park there. There's garbage everywhere, they left tire tracks. That's really cool.
Well, what's interesting, you have to look at it, like, every single Trump supporter can't be the stereotype. There's gotta be a group of people who are fairly sane, you know, because to stereotype I don't believe that every single person who's voting for Trump is necessarily a blatant racist, a blatant bigot. So, like, who are these extra people that are voting for him that aren't crazy?
Pick me. Amber? Okay, I was just reading about this because I was trying to decide what my topic was going to be tonight before we decided we were just going to rant. They found that there's a certain kind of people... it sounds like authoritarian. I don't know if that's the right thing.
I think I read that too.
Yeah, and
it's
these people who have a psychological tendency when they are afraid and when they think something bad is going to happen and when they feel threatened to turn to a strong leader figure who, like, is going to say nothing is going to change. I won't let these people change it.
Yeah.
And it's that because religion doesn't predict Trump supporters, race doesn't predict Trump. Well, I mean, it probably does a little
Even
bit,
sometimes
but like
party lines.
Yeah, it's like there are all these things that, like, they try and engender and, like, all these things that don't predict who's going to be a Trump supporter, except, like, this guy did a psychological study, like, in 2008 or, like, a really long time ago, and he did this, and, like, they had worked it out, like, with the way that these authoritarian people are moving into the Republican Party, like, the more of them that end up there, the more that they can be externally, like, communicative of these ideas, and it could completely polarize the party, and it could completely change politics. And, like, as soon as Trump started getting into power, one of them called the other one and was like, do you see what we predicted this? This is horrifying. So that's really interesting.
I love this idea where we have such a mass amount of people that are looking for an answer to not have things change. And to me, what's great about this is, what was Obama's platform? Change. It's a direct reaction to a black man that presented change, and his platform was change.
Well, here's the scary part too, is my feelings are, from everything that I read and understand, is that this regressivism, if you want to call it that, it's not going to go away even if Trump doesn't get elected. We all think, oh, well, it's just like one thing that needs to be dealt with and it'll be out of the way. He has fueled this to the point where, just like Bernie has ignited this progressivism in a large portion of the population, both the progressivism and this regressivism are only going to continue to grow stronger and battle against each other, I think, in future elections.
The solution to this is a third party.
Yeah.
And guess what's going to happen? People do not want to be polarized.
Right.
So they're going to develop a third party. Whether it be that these very radical GOP people right now are kicked out of GOP, then they'll create their third party. Or if it's these people that do not want to be in this contentious battle between, well, I'm not really going to be a super progressive like Bernie, but I'm also not racist like Trump.
Yeah.
It's going to be these moderate people, and they'll want their own party.
I feel like it'll especially be, like, the Republican Party right now is so polarized, and it's kind of just between Trump supporters and everybody else, and I feel like that everybody else are going to get sick of the Trump people, like, taking everything over. I feel like they'd be the ones who would pull back, and because especially libertarian is such another, like, extreme.
True.
So I feel like they would be the ones definitely who would pull back and, like, move back towards the center. And if there are Democrats who are conservative, like conservative Democrats who find ideals and candidates
like
that they
Rocky.
like in that, like Rocky, yeah, like we could call it the Rocky Party. Then
Dum da da dum da da dum da da dum dum da da dum da da dum da da dum dum da dum da dum dum dum.
I can't act for my life.
Okay, continue.
I don't remember what I was saying anymore.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry.
But super
yeah.
moderate or
'Cause there are
conservative
people
Democrats.
Like Kasich, who
Oh yeah, it's just
are disavowing Trump.
yeah,
right?
and especially if you get like a large migration, like if a bunch of really big names say this is insane, we're doing something else, and they all move, I bet like whatever following they have will move with them, and that'll get them enough publicity that people will be like, maybe this is the thing that we should start.
This is the
attention
chance
to.
for a third party, in my opinion.
We're
This is-
depending on the not crazy Republicans.
'Cause-
It's at least the biggest chance we've gotten. And if it doesn't happen now, it
It
could
will.
happen within the next couple elections, for sure.
It definitely will, in my opinion. It might take 3 elections, how slow we move with this kind of stuff. But it's been proven, like, the more parties you have in these kind of countries, like, it gives a better, well-rounded conversation. Because right now, the Republican Party is saying, I'm not racist, I don't agree with Trump. And Trump's saying, what is going on? I'm trying to make America great again. But the issues aren't being answered in any of the debates.
Yeah.
They're talking about how they can't get along.
Yeah.
They're just making fun of each other.
And then the Democratic debates, they're like going into the issues and fact checking each other.
Yeah.
Which Hillary is horrible with facts, but we'll get to that in another
Yeah.
episode.
And it's not to say that Bernie, all his facts are completely...
No.
But to be
because if you really look at it, the problem with Bernie's is usually more that they're more outdated rather than completely wrong. Like, he uses statistics that were from, like, 2008 that maybe aren't accurate
To be fair,
anymore,
though,
you know?
with debates, you're not allowed to take notes in with you.
Yep.
We talked about that,
Yeah,
remember?
so that
That's
I can forgive a few anomalies.
It's just this is an unprecedented election. This is really, truly
Horrifying.
horrifying and kind of inspiring at the same time, I guess, that people are paying... Like, when's the last time people have really paid attention to politics? This is crazy.
Lots of people say that young people don't vote. Like, I've been hearing a lot of people, I'll, like, ask people, like, friends who I have online or whatever, like, did you vote today? Like, during the day of the primaries, if they were in Ohio, like, did you go out and vote today? And people would be like, yeah, well, it's too bad young people don't vote. It's too bad young people don't vote. But it's... Every young person who I've talked to voted in the primaries. Like, I'm on Twitter and everybody's, like, posting I voted. Like, I'm on Facebook and everybody was using that voting thing. So do you think young people voted in the primaries this year, like, as a whole?
I think, well, first of all, youth voting has been up this year for sure in almost every state. Secondly, I think it's
Bernie
just
running.
maybe it's because we surround ourselves with a lot of like, we live in the city and stuff like that. So a lot of the people that we talk to are going to be maybe more likely to be in college, more likely to be aware of politics and stuff like that, particularly if they're, in an oppressed situation, stuff like that. Whereas maybe a lot of the people that don't vote are from, like, maybe rural areas, people who don't go on the internet that often. Like you were saying, a lot of them are internet friends, and people who are on the internet are more likely to come across a lot of this stuff. People who aren't on the internet, you probably aren't going to get inundated with a lot of this stuff.
That's fair, yeah.
And I was going to say, looking at, I voted in Lorain County, northeastern county in Ohio. The voter turnouts were not good. There was actually at a dismal, like in my city, Avon Lake, there was very few ballots casted, to be quite honest.
Apparently it was about average here in Cuyahoga.
It was pretty average in Cuyahoga, but in Lorain County, which is a poorer, more rural, and less populated county, the voting turnout was not good for young people, especially like suburban young people. But the rural young people made an exception and voted this election, which is very interesting to me. So,
was this sorted by party or just in general? Because I'm just wondering, like...
I just looked at the results.
Okay.
And with each, it showed you the number of votes, and I looked at the population of the county.
Okay, I was just thinking about, like, some of the cities in Lorain County are more like cornfields. So I was just wondering, like, if those are the places that got out to vote. I was just curious which part.
Yeah, I don't have a full mapping yet.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that'd
fair.
be amazing to look at, though, the mapping of the voting.
Yeah.
To see, like, where were the hotbeds. I would love to know that.
Yeah, like, who got really fired up about which side.
And the question would also be, how many of those voters are informed voters?
Yeah.
Because that's why some people would argue that certain candidates are doing so well, is because, you know, especially for like an older person, maybe not like old, I'm saying like a person like in their 40s or 50s or something like that. They already kind of like, they've heard names floating about, and they're not gonna necessarily bother to go online. They're just gonna go off a lot of name recognition or like
I feel like lots of people do that though.
Heard in the past.
So
yeah, a lot of people. Yeah.
Here's the great thing, right? So I want to say from ages 40 to like 55, for some reason, or maybe even 35, these people don't have enough time to look at the votes. Like who they're voting for. They have full
jobs, they have kids.
Well, and it's like the adult productivity age range.
Yeah.
And then after that, usually you're retired or you're moving towards retirement and you're slowing down your life. That's why older voting is so important and it's so powerful, because they have the time to look at these things.
And they should be
voting. They should.
That's good that the older vote does get such a wide turnout.
And the other thing too that I think should be noted is that I think that we should come up with a way to digitalize this. It should become easier.
Yes.
Like my roommate's always saying, why can't I do this on an app?
Yeah.
Like, why can't... And obviously, I know that there are shortcomings, but just in general, like, there should be... We have so much technology.
Yeah.
But we don't use it.
But we don't use it, and I feel like there should... If we can, like... If the NSA, are they the ones who listen to our phones?
Yes.
Yeah. NSA. If the NSA can listen to my conversation...
Shout out to the NSA, by the way. How's it going?
If the NSA can like look at me without like turning the little light on my camera, like they should be able to come up with an app where I can vote.
But is that opening it up to hackers too much? I think is what a lot of people say.
I don't know, but we should try.
Yeah.
I mean, to get to I think a more reasonable thing, let's first stop limiting people's voting rights. Like if you get 2 felonies, you're not allowed to vote.
Really?
Yes, that's legal.
What?
That should not be allowed. The other thing too is when you turn 18, you should automatically be registered to vote.
Oh yeah.
Just like how for the men, we automatically have a draft number.
Which is ridiculous.
Wow.
So when you turn 18, you have to sign on that line. As you remember too, once you turn 18, you sign on that line, you send it in, you're automatically a draft number.
And you have to. Within 30 days.
So then we should be allowed as citizens, once we turn 18, if we have to serve for you, you have to serve for us. We should automatically be registered
like
to
as
vote.
soon as, or even if they just did the same thing, as soon as you turn 18, they send it to you. Like they know when you turn 18. Like they have records. They could send you a piece of paper, and it could be a postcard. Like honestly, it doesn't have to be anything. Or we could digitalize it and just make it easier for everybody.
But do you see what I mean?
Hold on.
Yes, I understand you. Yes.
They could do this.
If they did that, I think they would still have to. I think it would be smart to still set up polling locations because.
I'm not saying get rid of the polling
okay,
locations.
yeah.
I just mean if you want. The whole idea is accessibility. If this is supposed to be a democracy, then we should make it as easy and convenient for people to vote as possible. So we have absentee, which is great. You can do absentee voting. You can go into the polling station. I don't even know. I think there's a third thing you can do. I don't remember. But just like making it accessible would be so positive. And if there's a way we could get it, even if it's something where like I have my super mega secure FAFSA account, right? Nobody can get into that because of all the stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do the same thing? Like you have to put in tons of you have to put in like your name, your social security, your address, your phone number. But
your favorite color.
Your password like retrieval thing. But once you get in, you should be able to. And if I can trust that website with my FAFSA, my tax information, with like all that information.
But FAFSA was just hacked into last year.
Well, then we need to get better people to fix it.
Here's the thing. I don't understand how governmental websites, like federal websites and state government websites, have such poor design and security.
Because Apple pays them better, so they go work somewhere else.
They passed a law, like, really kind of under, very quietly.
They never do that.
That 17-year-olds could not vote for the primary, even if they're going to be 18 for the actual election. Well, at the last second, like a couple days before Ohio went to vote, Ohio switched that. So I think in like 21 states, if you're 17 and you're going to be 18 by the time the election comes up in November, you're allowed to vote, which is good. Because I think they were going to challenge that because that's seems a little suspicious that they would do that in December,
So in totality, I have come to the assumption that the Electoral College is like Hogwarts. Super delegates are basically voting prostitutes.
Just like in Hogwarts.
Yeah.
And my vote only matters if it trend sets to the likeliness that an electoral college member will vote in our favor. So basically, what is the system? I don't know. But I'm still scratching my head, and I will continue to vote and scratch my head.
Really fast. I love that you said Hogwarts, because as soon as you said that, the analogy in my head was just the moving staircases, and I'm just sobbing, trying to figure out where I'm going, and I cannot figure it out. And that's what that's not voting, but that's what politics feel like to me.
I thought you were going to say oh, no, never mind. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, Joe. Today I learned a lot of stuff, especially and most notably that I don't vote for president. I thought I did, but I don't.
I learned nothing.
That's it. That's how I felt today, so. That's basically you summarized my long, extended summarization.
But if you want to learn more nothing with us, you can follow us on iTunes at Can You Not Podcast or on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/CYN podcast. Please give us things to talk about.
Also, you should give my dad money. You could also follow him on Twitter. It's at RAJ201. He wants followers, and you can see him, like, he just did his first training thing for his bike ride, and he, like, was averaging something crazy, like 20 miles an hour or something. It was it was nuts, guys. It was insane. So he's starting to train for that, so you can, like, cheer for him. And you can also give us, like, if you want to, we really, like, I really want to make my dad a jersey with, like, Joe, Jesse, and my face on it, and we could, like, he could wear it and advertise.
Then he really would be our mascot.
Oh my god, it'd be so beautiful. So, like, you could also give money to me, but first give money to my dad, because he's trying to support Alzheimer's research by riding his bike an insane amount.
We'll put that link in the description.
Click it. Give him money.
But 2016 election, can you not?
Government, politics, everything. Can you not?
Can you not? I'm still so lost right now with our conversation.
It's like we regressed. We went backwards.
Does my can you not even matter? In the grand scheme of things?
Somebody else is gonna have to say can you not for you. Like, for all three of us, we're gonna have to elect somebody.
An actual celebrity is gonna have to say can you not for Jesse, because Jesse gave the indication that it was okay for that celebrity to say can you not.